Hello everyone, my name is Seth, and in this video I will be showing you how to use the map editor in Vagante. There are timestamps in the video description if you're looking for anything specific. Also, at the end of the video, I will be talking about a new map editing series I will be starting, so stick around till the end of the video. Alright, let's jump right in. First off, select a character. Then hit the F9 key. This will open up the map editor. From here, you can either play a selected world, edit a selected world, or create a new world. We will be creating a new world. We'll call it something like 0W0 and hit create new world. This is where all the magic happens. So first off, let's hit new room and hit blank room. And from in here, you can choose between acts, branches, tutorial, intermissions, arena, and final fight to kind of title what the room is going to be. So for now, let's just hit Act 1, and it gives you this room here. So first, let's go through all the stuff up top here. So there's new room, which will make another new room. Open room, which is to open other rooms that you might have. Save room, which is super important. Always save your room repeatedly throughout working on it, because it's easy to go and do something else and then come back and then everything's kind of like gone. Or you go to like close editor and everything gets reset. So make sure to always be saving your room. Test room, where you actually go in with the character you picked and you can test it out. Close editor, which closes it, and then more. Now in more, there is shift room. What you have made in this square here, you can shift to the left, right, or up and down using either negative numbers or positive numbers. Then there is resize act, which increases its size. So if it's too small for you and you want it a little bigger, you can put different numbers in here, which change its dimension. And then you get a room like this. And there's delete room. Be careful, hitting this will delete everything and all the progress you've made in your room. It'll just get rid of everything. So yeah, be careful with this button. And basically this box right here, this is like in Photoshop, turning off all the backgrounds and layers and whatnot. So placing stuff like this, which is foreground, will turn it off. So running through different layers makes it easier to see what you're doing and what you're working on if you like turn off your entities or your background or midground. Okay, next up, let's go over the tools. First, we're going to do tiles here. Now, the developers, when they put in the map editor into the game, they missed or left a few bugs in the map editor. I'll go over one right now. So we are in background. So we lay a little bit of background, go to foreground, lay a little bit of foreground in. And if you go to the background layer, it turns off foreground. And when you go to foreground, turns off background. So there's bugs, like you'll run into bugs like that, but none that are game breaking. Now let's go over this entire box one bit at a time here. So first up, we got background. Let's just lay a little bit of background here like that. Then let's go to foreground and let's lay a little bit of foreground. Then let's go to midground. Now, midground is basically where it's your character's ground. Your character is on midground, so that's where you run into solids like your walls and your floor. So that's pretty much midground. Then there's front ground. Now, front ground is kind of used for texturing stuff, mostly. That's what a lot of the stuff you'll find in here. Like stuff like roots that you can place like on things. So let's just throw a bush, I guess. We'll put a bush right here. And then the last one here, close ground. All the stuff here, your character goes behind. So this is the only layer that has stuff that comes in front. You can also drag to highlight large things to place them. The mushrooms look killer. I love putting mushrooms on everything. But yeah, that's pretty much just this background. So now we can hit save. Oh, wait, no, I totally forgot. In midground, there is the doors. Every level needs to have an entrance and an exit. Now we can save the room and we can test it. Okay, now we can kind of see how it all works. So we got background, in behind the character, foreground, still in behind the character, front ground, which is still behind the character, and then close ground, which is in front of the character. All right, now we're going to talk about this stuff down here. It's found in midground, and the W is water, the S is shop, this is shop left, and this is shop right. So if we make a little hole there and stick a W in it, that'll fill that hole up with water. And if we stick an S, it'll spawn a shop. In this situation, we'd want to stick this like here so that his shop spawns right. And go test. You can see the hole is now filled with water, and there's a shop that faces right. Okay, and then last is this section. So checking this box lets you place things and erase them. So you can place stuff, and then you can right click to erase it. Clicking this, it says right click to pick color. Now, that is not what this does. It doesn't pick colors. It's worded kind of weird, but if you say you built something over here with this type of block, and then you also stuck little sword things there, then you had some like kind of structure here, and you had this clicked, and you're like, oh, I'm building this. Oh, wait, I want more of these. You can right click it, and it gives you it. So that's basically what this does. It doesn't pick color. It lets you right click to auto select things that are out, like even doors and stuff. Now this is for the eraser size. So just higher number lets you erase big blocks. So if you're doing a lot of erasing, you can change it to like a 3x3 or like a 2x2. Okay, so that's the entire tile picker box all gone over. Now let's kind of go over this box over here in the top right. So up at the top you have the name. So this is information that is kind of like given to, say you make a level and you share it with your friend. This is information that they can actually see that you write down. So it's the name of the world. So it's like the world property. So we got our name and the author, put the name of whoever made it, and the description. So you can add a description to the world you make or the game you make, and then allow custom backgrounds. I'm not sure what this does. Let me know in the comments if you know what allow custom backgrounds actually does, or how to add custom backgrounds, because I'm actually not sure what this how this works. But then down in here in room properties, we got the room's name, which we named Fun Time, and you have to select first room because it's the first room you make. This is the very first room that you get put into. Then below first room is open sky. So if we go into test room right now, you see how it's really dark? So we go open sky and go test room. Then the ceiling gets like opened up and light comes in. Now you can go open sides and that opens the sides up. So this is kind of like the style of the Rift. Then next is has trees. If you select this, what it does is it puts like a forest tree background against it. Then down here is the sky type. So we're going to turn off trees so we can see better. And right now we're on caves, so it gives us this kind of cave background. Now we put it on forest and then zoom out, it puts this background in behind. And same with night, which is kind of like nighttime forest, and clouds, which is like the Rift clouds, and black, which is just straight black, and falling. Now this one's an animated background, so if you select falling and go test, it gives you this. So it can be used to like make it seem like you're on a platform falling during the whole level. Like there's cool stuff you can do with this. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the sky types. And then you got music and boss music. So basically you just set the music you want for your level, and you have all of Vagante's music to pick from, including boss music, even like different phases. The next is gravity. So 100% gravity is default. So base Vagante gravity. Now if you slap that down to like 1, you just like infinite jump, and it's fun to crank it to 200. You can't even jump, which is fun. For now we're gonna just keep that at 100, Okay, and last is this. This will select the next room. So when you leave through the exit, this selects the next room you go through. So let's quickly make a new room. So we save this one, new room. We have new options here. We have blank room, same type, duplicate room, and duplicate room, new type. Let's just do blank room and go intermission and create. So it makes a new blank room here. So let's just throw some stuff here. And a entrance, a exit, and let's change the room name to just 2, and then hit save. Now we go open room and open fun time, and then hit default to number 2 here. And there we go. So the next room will be this room. So we'll go test room. We start here, go through the exit, and then come into this new room. And when you're doing testing on rooms and something kills you, you just get instantly brought back to the entrance. Okay, next up is entities. And the first tab is new/delete. Now, if you turn off snap to grid and you place something, you can place it anywhere. You turn on the grid, it snaps to a specific grid. We'll leave that on for now. And then filter, you can basically filter through everything. See if you want to find a certain thing like alter, you can type in ALT and then it'll come up. So let's press on, let's do stream. We'll just stick a stream right there. Then go to move/modify. Now this lets us move it around. And when these two things are checked, it keeps it moving on grid. And then right click modifies. Now this is where we're gonna run into another bug. For doodads, which is this whole section here, these are all doodads, and then this gets down into the entities. So for the doodads, if you modify, it just cycles through all the doodads that you can use. And this is where the bug is. If you hit plus, it cycles to the next one, which is shop counter. Yeah, there we go, shop counter. And then negative should go back to stream, but it goes to shop sign, which is after the shop counter. So basically, when modifying doodads and certain things too, plus and negative don't actually work. This link one, this is for linking certain things together. And it's used for, you can do really cool things with the linking. We'll get more into it later, but yeah, the linking is real cool. Okay, now let's go over all the doodads. So first is stream. This is just an animated stream for if you have a level with a lot of water, you can have it coming from a source. Then all of this stuff is for building a shop. So if you go into tiles and use the S or the SL or SR, you can use all this to build a shop around him. So basically that's all this stuff is for making it look like a shop. Then there's altar. Now you can place this and then you can place an item on top of it. Then there's rage victory and rage jump cheat or something. These don't do anything from what I can tell. If anyone watching has been able to figure out what rage victory does, you can place it, but like it doesn't do anything. And then you can't even select rage jump cheat. Like it just doesn't even select. Then there's flower, which is just a little animated sprite of a flower, like wigging out. And then there is book pedestal. Now book pedestal actually will spawn a book. Then there's the boss trophy, which is basically for just designing. I don't think it actually does anything. And crates, you can just throw crates everywhere, cycle through them. You can pick any type of receptacle you'd want. And then there's this, which is also barrel, but it doesn't do anything. So this is another thing that doesn't even do anything. Then we got dummy, and just places a dummy that you can beat on. And then there's waterfall 2, waterfall 3, and waterfall 4. And yeah, that's pretty much all the doodads. Okay, now on to entities. First one is exit destination, and you can throw this on any exits. You can have multiple exits, and slap it on there. And you can modify it and set it to any room you want. So you can have multiple doors going to different places. So slap it on there, and then you can lock it. So that when you come into your level, it's a locked door that requires a key. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that. Then next is chest. It'll put down a chest that has random item, and you can modify it to be a boss chest. So it requires a key. There is more stuff you can do with this. We'll go over that in a bit. Then next is bonfire. And this just places a bonfire that acts as a bonfire. It will heal you. There's no fairy girls. You can't add fairy girls in this, I don't think. So you can't really modify how much it heals you. It's like a set heal. I don't think... Yeah, it cannot be modified, so it's just a bonfire. This grave. Now, I spent forever trying to see what this does, and so far, it does absolutely nothing. Let me know in the comments if any of you guys know if it does do something, because it definitely seems like it doesn't do anything at all. Next is spikes. Just basic spikes. Then lever. Now, it'll show the picture of the lever up in the top left, but it will spawn in here. And there's a bunch of stuff you can do with this lever involving linking. Then we got spike traps. You've seen those earlier. Just setting down spike traps. Boulder. This just sets a boulder in the level. You can push it around. Then there's a boulder block. And what this does is you can change its direction if it's facing left or right. And what it does is it just stops the boulder from pushing. So if you have one of those, the boulder can't push past it. So you can use it for like fun little puzzles and stuff. Then there's boulder trap, and placing this little pressure plate down automatically puts a boulder up in the air. So if we go test a room and go and step on this, a boulder comes out. And then magic trap, you can place this and modify it, and you can either make it a fire trap, freeze trap, or a vertical boost trap, or a teleport trap. And vertical boost trap, I don't even think is in the game, like vanilla Vagante, but what it does is it boosts you up. So it's just an extra little cool thing that you can add to levels and designs that you make. Then there is dart trap. And basically this is just a dart trap. You can attach it into a wall, and when something goes in front of it, it shoots out an arrow. You can modify it. I think it changes its directions. Oh, no. It changes it into the repeating one. Yeah, so this is the one that constantly refills. Then mimic. You can straight up just place a mimic. Then there's hover text. Hover text is an interesting one. Hover text and trigger combined. These two are for doing really interesting things. But before we get into hover text and trigger, let's drop down here a bit and go to item really quick. We'll circle back up after item. So this one down here that says item, basically it defaults to a coin or 1 gold. And you go modify, right click on it, and it gives you a list of every single item in Vagante, plus some hidden ones that you can't even get in the main game, like unarmed, which is just like a weird little fist thing. There's a lot of weird stuff you can find in here. Like there's a couple of rings that don't actually exist anymore. But yeah, pretty much anything item related in the game is in here. So now this is where you can do some cool stuff. So let's pick something like Potion of Regeneration. So now that turns that into that. Let's go to item. What do we got here? We got 1, 2, 3. Let's do 4 things here. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And modify, change it to, let's say, hammer. Change this one to an axe. Change this one to an ice wand. You can affect the amounts. This is the item type. you can cycle through the numbers. So if you remember a number of an item you like, you can just type in the number and it'll go right to it. You can make it cursed. So the item will have a curse on it. You can make it God cursed, so it comes God cursed. And you can add attributes to it. So yeah, there's a lot to this. You can cycle through all this stuff like fairy fire. A lot of these words don't make sense. Slow on strike, double jump, triple jump. There is like, I think there's like 120. There's stuff in here that isn't even in the game either. I suggest it's best that you go through this and just kind of like play around with it, because this video will be like hours long if we go through every single thing in here. But yeah, you can pick anything. So like, let's go with jump speed, which is usually something you'd put on boots, and go the value. So you can make it jump speed plus 2, or you can go like 0.5, so 2.5, and then you go add, and then it'll add the attribute to the item, and you can add more. You can just keep adding and adding. So basically you can just craft whatever kind of item you want someone to pick up out of a chest. Now you can have these items just laying around, or you can put them into things. Now, putting them into things involves the good old link button here. So we take this item, or no, chest. So this is a mimic. And now the mimic, when he's killed, he's going to drop this. And this chest, when you open it, it's going to have this axe in it. This crate, when you break it, it's going to have this potion in it. And this hammer, it's going to be on this book. So I wasn't 100% sure if you could use this pedestal, but it seems like anything that holds an item can be linked to an item, so that when you hit test room, this is on a pedestal, or like a book pedestal. You break this, it's got... Oh, okay, wait, box didn't work for some reason. That has the axe, mimic. Yeah, killing him has the ice wand. Basically, everything but a crate you can put stuff in. Okay, now we're on to hover text. And basically what this is you can modify it, and you can type anything. Whatever you type in here is what's going to show up. So we'll just go, hello. Now we're going to drop down here and go over this. Down here is a sign. And you can place that like that. And you can move and modify it to either be a skull sign or a normal sign. We'll just leave it as a skull sign. And now this is where we link. And we link that to the floating text. Now, when we go to test and interact with the sign, hello will pop up. And hello will pop up wherever you place this box. Now, there's other ways you can have floating text appear. You can have it with this sign that's interactable, or you can use triggers. So if we slap down this trigger here and modify it and have it just touching player, we'll get more into triggers in a bit. And you link that to the sign. Touching this square will turn on the sign, or will turn on the text. So it'll say hello when we walk into the trigger or interact with this. Okay, now we're moving on to triggers. Now, triggers are extremely helpful for doing many things, and it's in a way coding, kind of. So first let's drop a trigger here. And then say we have a door. Now, we want to be able to open and close this door at will. So what we're going to do is, we're going to take a lever, and we'll slap a lever down right here. Then we'll go into modify. Then we'll go into this trigger, go down to true input, or input true, sorry. Now, this is its conditions. So the trigger needs to meet a true input condition to open door. So we link the lever to the input true to give it its requirement. And then from there, we link the trigger to the door. So when we go in and interact with the switch, it gives a true input to the trigger, opening the door. Now that you kind of get the general idea of what triggers are used for and how they work, we're gonna go more in depth on all of the different conditions you can use, because there is a bit of a list of conditions you can use. So let's start at the top, work our way down, and learn about some triggers. First is touching a player. So if we put this condition here, it means if a player is touching this trigger, the condition is met and will open the door. So let's go test. And yep. Okay, next up after touching player is touching chest closed. So if the chest is closed within this square, it registers as true. But if you turn this little thing on to do the opposite of this trigger's condition, it being closed does not open the door, but it being opened does open the door. So this can be used for certain things and ideas for levels. So let's just give this a little test. All right, next up is touching a dropped item. So basically same thing as before, except for this time, if an item is dropped within this square, it'll turn it to true. All right, next condition is touching a breakable wall. So we haven't touched base on breakable walls yet. If you go down into entities, you will see this little guy right below mimic, which is breakable wall. If you place this over top of solid ground, as long as it's not a border, we'll turn it into breakable wall. So now the condition would be met that there is a breakable wall within this square opening the door. But we are going to first change it to do the opposite of this trigger. So breaking the wall will open the door. Now this condition is touching living monster. So basically all you need is a monster to enter the square to meet the condition to open the door. If you want a bigger square, you can use these sliders to change the shape. So this way, it's a little bit easier to have a monster wander into it, or whatever kind of case you will be using it for. Now, this condition's a little different. This one is player hanging. This one needs to be used in conjunction with touching a player to work, and this is where and or come in. So first off, you go and, then add sub condition, which is touching a player, then and again, player hanging. So what that's going to do is when the player is touching this and hanging at the same time, all the conditions have been met. Alrighty, this condition is walking slow. So this is the same as the last one, it needs and, touching player and walking slow. And it's pretty much the way it sounds. Walking slow through this square meets its conditions and opens the door. This condition is called player sitting. So basically the same thing as the other ones. It must be used with touching player, so and touching player and player sitting. And pretty sure the only thing that actually has a player sit is the bonfire. So you'd have to put a bonfire within the square, and when you sit at it, all conditions met, and the door opens. The next condition is called player climbing, and same as before, needs touching player and player climbing. When these are met, opens the door. Now on to the next one. This one is called player menu open. Now this needs to be used also in conjunction with touching a player. And basically what this is when you enter the square and you open up your menu, then the conditions are met opening the door. Now there's also 3 more that are very similar to this one that are right underneath, which is player tab inventory, player tab skill, and player tab affinities. Now basically the way this works is the different tabs you go into are what meet the condition. Okay, this next condition is a bit of a doozy. This one is called input true. And basically the conditions that need to be met for input true is it needs an external thing supplying an input to it. So for example, let's use a lever. So let's stick a lever right here and let's link a lever to input true. Then let's link input true to this door. So when you come in and flip this lever, it sends the input of the lever being turned on to here, which meets its condition, opening the door. So let's test this out really quick. Hit the lever and the door opens. Now there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this input true. For example, let's add another trigger up here and make this one also input true. Except for this one, let's give it the opposite of what it's supposed to do. Now let's also add another condition to this trigger. And we'll make this one touching a player. So for this door to open, it must touch a player and have the switch on. And we're going to link this input to this input. And then we're going to link this input to this door. So this being turned on and a player sitting up here meets the requirements for this to activate this door. But because these are activated, it activates this, which is set to opposite, which closes this door. So this is the kind of stuff you can do with input true. And I will demonstrate how it works. So we have to flick this on so we can jump up here. Otherwise, if it's flicked off, nothing will happen. So you have to flick that on. Now this opens up the door. But because we have this input correct, the other input goes in reverse and closes the second door. But if we jump down here, it loses that condition, which opens the door. So you can have interesting door opening mechanics using true, plus whatever your little heart desires. Also, another thing, when using this type of setup, try to never have two opposing conditions on one door, because they conflict with each other and can cause some interesting problems. Now, these next few conditions don't actually work. Pretty much all of them after input true, the tutorial ones, don't actually do anything from what I can tell. Let me know in the comments if any of you have been able to make any of these tutorial things work. The only ones that do seem to work are Shopkeeper Alive and Shopkeeper Angry. But Tutorial Player Has Gold and Affinity Points and Learn Book, all this stuff doesn't really, it doesn't do anything at all from what I've learned. But we're gonna jump right to this one, which is Shopkeeper Alive. And having this one set up, it's pretty self-explanatory. If the shopkeeper is alive, the door is down, and if we kill this sucker, the door opens. And then the next condition is the tutorial shopkeeper alive. And the interesting thing I gotta mention is the tutorial shopkeeper alive and tutorial shopkeeper angry. They don't need to actually be touching anything. They just need to be in the level. So this doesn't need to touch the shopkeeper. This just needs to be here. And this is the only condition that actually is like this. So kind of interesting. You just need it in your level. But let's test out the angry one. So all you gotta do, piss him off, and the door opens. But even if he dies, it doesn't drop the door down, because he stays angry through death. And last condition is extinguishing torches. So right now we just have a lever set up to input true to torch. Now if I come in here and do this, turns on the torch. Do it again, you cannot turn off the torch. So if you want to be able to like light switch this bad boy, we need to do some different things. So let's go to trigger, and right here add trigger, and let's make this trigger the very last one, which is extinguishing a torch. There we go. So this will extinguish the torch, but the problem is this is always and constantly extinguishing. So when you do this and just willy-nilly link it to the torch and you turn it on, it's constantly lighting and extinguishing on repeat. So that's not what we want. So we need to add one more condition to this bad boy, which means we need to go and extinguishing torch and input true. then you want this to be negative. Just like when we were talking about the way input works, you can't have things contradict each other, or else you have a door that mashes the ground repeatedly. So same kind of thing. You add input true and opposite, then link this to the torch, and then this to the extinguishing torch, so that when you flick the switch on, it turns on the torch, and when you turn it off, it activates this in its conditions and turns off the torch. So we come in, light switch on, light switch off. Okay, next is shop, right after trigger. And basically this is the same thing as in tiles, the S, SL, SR, except for this one is way better to use. I suggest if you're building a shop to use this entity instead, because it's a lot easier to work with. So like you can facing left, facing right, facing left, facing right, or vice versa. So you can actually see it, and it shows where things are going to be. It shows the open door, it shows the shopkeeper and the items, and from here you can add up to 5 items in the shop, and you can adjust it to whatever number you want. So it's definitely the superior shop insert, so that when you go test, it builds the shop. Next is breakable walls, but I already showed off breakable walls. Falling door. So you place this little square down here, and when you test a room, when you pass it, a wall drops. Basically, it comes down from the skyline here. So this is the skyline. So when you step over that, it starts from here. So if you extend the skyline, you can actually have it drop slower or faster, depending on where it starts. And you can even do stuff like this to adjust it. You can like stick a block randomly in places and adjust how fast it is that way, which it makes for some cool stuff you can do. Next is this one, magic block. It's basically the same things you run into in the tower. You step on it, it drops down, and then it comes back up. You can modify it, but it doesn't really do anything. Next is tower door. So you can set this thing up, and you want to place 2 of them to make it work, really. But you can use it however you want. When you test room, it builds this. You can add a trigger to it, like so, and have touching player, and then have it go permanently on, or you can have it come on and off. Actually, let's have it come on and off. And do something like that, and then link it to each. And when you go to test it, that'll open it up. But you can do cool traps, like once you jump, it closes. And next is the saw blades, fire spinners, and the pendulum axe and gas trap. Yeah, these are neat. You can modify these. You can have it go horizontal, vertical. This guy, you can affect how many fires come out of it. So you can have 4, 2, 3, and the axe is kind of weird. You can adjust its length, but it's a little finicky, and then modifying it affects its speed. For this one, you can't modify this. Wherever you place this becomes a trap room. So if we go test here, you can see the fire spitting, this thing running vertical, this pendulum thing ripping, and coming into here creates poison. And the poison starts from the top skyline and works its way down. Next is platform. So there's 3 options with this one. So when you go to modify, you can turn it into, so like this is like the elevator from the final to the final boss. And then this one, that is from the 4th alternate path, the electric place. And this one, which is also from the electric alternate path. Yeah, it's just the same things. Goes up and down. Then we got the conveyor, modifying this bad boy. Affects how long you want it. goes from 3 to 7, and you can have it going left or going right. Yeah, this guy's fun. And we got electric trap, and this is just the same thing from the alternate path. If you modify it, just changes its orientation. If lightning hits it, shoots out a bolt. We got spring. Now, this isn't something that's in Vagante, but when you come up to it, it's just a spring. And if you time your jump right, you can shoot up really high. You can modify this to do a bunch of different things. You can change its strength, cooldown. You can have it face different directions, and how long it stuns you if you touch it. Just a bunch of stuff. Then there's haystack, and basically all this is if you land on this, it negates all fall damage. Then there's this guy. So this is not the statue you think it is. This is a healing statue, so it's different. And basically all this does, if you're hurt, it heals you. So it's infinite healing. Then you got fireflies. You can place these things all over the place, and it just makes little fireflies. And this one, player mod. Now this is another really complicated one. If you right click on it, you can change the width and whatnot of it, just like trigger. And these are the modifier types it can do. It can either strip items. So if you put it on strip items and you walk through it, every item in your inventory, gone, just disappears. So if you want a character to be refreshed after each level, you can like stick this right on the exit, and if they go through the exit, strips their items. Or you can have it on the entrance so that when they come in, all their items gone. Then there's set HP percent. You set this, you can choose the amount. So when you walk through it, it sets HP percentage to 42%. Then there's set HP value. Now, this is different than percent. This is value. So if you have 100 HP or 120 HP, and you set it to 9, you walk through it, you have 9 HP. But if it was percentage, it wouldn't be 9. It would be whatever the percentage of the HP you have. Then next is level up 2. So when you walk through it, it levels you up. Now, the weird thing though is when it's on 1, doesn't level you up. If you set it to 2, it levels you up. And it levels you up once. So yeah, basically 1 isn't 1, 2 is 1, and then it goes up from there. Then there's push. This one's interesting. So you can change a bunch of this stuff. You can set these numbers to like, say 5 and 5, and when you walk through it, it pushes you. So you can't get through. And if you want it to push in the opposite directions, you just use negatives. Now, after push, there's teleport, and this one's kind of interesting. So you put in coordinates. So if you see right down here, right in the very corner, there are numbers, and those numbers are the coordinates. So if you set it on a block, it'll give you like 30,198, and you can punch that into here. And then if you walk through this, it'll teleport to where those coordinates are. Okay, and last is level up. So the main difference between level up 2 and level up is level up 2 will level you to the number given. So if we go over here and go level up to 5, it will level you up to 4, and it'll always level you up to only 4. So if you're already at level 4, then it won't do nothing. But if you go down to level 3, it'll level you back up to level 4. Level up though, you can use negative numbers. So if you go level up -4, and this one's 5, which is level up to 4, when you pass through, you gain 4 levels, and then passing through this, you lose 4 levels. So walk through the first one. We have 4 points now. Walk through the next one. Now we got none. And then if we go back, it'll give us 4 again, but now this one won't work. Next is a checkpoint. So wherever you put this, creates this line here, and if you walk through it, it creates a checkpoint. Just like in the tutorial in Vagante, once you pass through this, if you die, you will get sent back here. So that's basically it. just a checkpoint. And then this is the load and save point. This just is the exact same thing in Vagante. You can interact with it and you can save your run at any point. So you can decide to put that wherever. And now we're on shrines. So you can place down a shrine here, hit modify, and then you can cycle through all the different shrines for placing shrines in your levels. Now we got Falling Door. This is an interesting one because this one has a lot of triggers. And you come in here, so it stays down all the time. You cannot break it. This is like a permanent door. And you put a trigger here. And go touching player. Link. Can rise and fall. You can check that. You can adjust how much damage it deals if it falls on your head. So you can set the numbers to like 999. Test room opens up when the player is in the square and drops down when you leave it. Okay, now we're into the mobs and all the monsters and stuff. Poltergeist. For Poltergeist, you drop a crate, go to Poltergeist, place it on that, and it becomes a Poltergeist. So anything in this square, any crate and stuff becomes a Poltergeist. There's some stuff missing from in here. The Tower Serpent is not in here. Now for enemies, you can bring them in and you can modify them and you can turn off drop loot. So if you kill them, they don't drop nothing, or you can turn it on so that they do drop something. And you can turn them into champions. But yeah, not all enemies can actually be champions. So there's some stuff in here that you can't turn into a champion. I think stuff like these guys can't be champions. Basically, enemies that you haven't seen as champions can't be champions. Now, the last thing I'm going to share with you guys is how to share your levels that you've made. So first you want to go into your PC, go down into local disk C, and then from in here, hit Program Files 86. Then look for Steam. Once you're in Steam, you're going to want to go to Steam Apps, then into the Common folder. Now just look for Vagante. Once you find Vagante, click on this. Now you're in Vagante's program folder, and go to Custom. Now in here, these are all the custom Vagante levels you've made. So to share, all you got to do, we'll go to the one we created, OWO. And here's your entire edited room. Now, just go copy. You can close this window, and then you can just paste it right onto your desktop. And there you go. This room is now a copy of everything you've worked hard on, and you can share it to people. You can throw it onto a flash drive, give it to a friend, or you can share it on Discord. So let's go to our Discord. So come to the Cryptic cast, and in here there will be a new custom Vagante levels channel. So you can click on that, and in here you can just take your new level and drop it right in. Make sure to add a comment about what your level's about and how it works, and then just hit upload. And there you go. Your world will be pasted into the Discord for other people to try out. And this is where all that information earlier comes in. The world name, the author, description, and all that business where people can see that too. So now if you want to take someone else's world and add it to your Vagante game, all you gotta do is download this, open up Custom again, create a new folder, and you can name this whatever you want, like, we'll just call it Cool World. And now that I have this empty folder, you can click on that and you can just drag that in, and boom. Now, when you open Vagante, you will have a new world option, which will be this title of this folder. And then from there, you can edit it or you can play it. And that's pretty much all there is to sharing and adding worlds to your Vagante. Well, that should about do it for the video, guys. Hope you all learned something new and helpful. Don't forget to comment and let me know what you think, and stay tuned because I will be doing an entire series on the map editor, building Vagante from the ground up, and excited to have you guys come along for the ride and comment ideas for things to add into each level and cool little things like that. So it's going to be a community affair. Don't forget to subscribe for more informational videos. We have a Discord, so go check that out. Links in the description. And thank you very much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next one.